Ma'am, you can start your session now.
Okay. A very good afternoon, everyone. Let us start with the prayer, as I believe it is because of the Almighty that we are all here together, learning from one another, sharing whatever we have learned through our life. O Lord, grant me your strength so I will have courage in every situation. Grant me your love so I will never give up on anybody. Grant me your wisdom so I will show others the path to success. Grant me a mercy, so I will forgive those who have hurt me. Grant me your peace, so I will find the best in everybody. Grant me your hope, so I will never give up. Grant me your joy, so I will be thankful for all my blessings. And grant
A
me
very
your
good
grace.
evening to our resource person, Mrs. Sunita Sinha, ex-principal of and the present academic director of Mount Literacy School, and to all the participants, welcome to today's meeting. Ma'am, you can start the meeting and the training
Okay.
because nearly
Okay.
1,300 participants have joined.
Okay. Good afternoon once again. As I believe that we have to thank the Almighty before we start anything, let us thank the Almighty because only because of this Almighty we are all together learning from one another. O Lord, grant me your strength so I will have courage in every situation. Grant me your love so I will never give up anybody. Grant me your wisdom so I'll show others the path to success. Grant me your mercy so I will forgive those who have hurt me. Grant me your peace so I will find the best in everybody. Grant me your hope so I will never give up. Grant me your joy so I will be thankful for all my blessings. And grant me your grace so you will always be at my side. Yes, a very good afternoon, everyone. My dear friends, what is there between B and D? B and D comes C. B is birth, D is death, and C is choice. C stands for choice. It is our choice whether to make ourselves happy, how to make our subjects interesting. Next, how many of you all are afraid of mathematics? You know, we create a big hawa about mathematics, especially when we have the math exam. The mothers, parents especially, what they do, they give the he before the exam. But if it's any other paper, they don't bother. So actually, this is what happens with mathematics. Next, children are not born afraid of math. They learn to fear it. 75 million students in India suffer from math phobia. 25% of the students in your school face emotional and physical trauma before a math test, and it's not even their fault. Yes, this is what it happens, that math is the children are so scared of mathematics that even if they know the concepts, they are not able to do it. So why not make it something of joy, of happiness? Let them enjoy. See, my dear friends, when you enjoy something, you start doing that thing very well. You create a passion for it. So let us create this joy among children for mathematics. We use mathematics all the time. From the morning time we get up in the morning till we sleep. When we get up in the morning, we are told, get up, it is 6 o'clock. Then it's time to go to school. Please have 2 slices of bread. Your bus will come at 8 o'clock. When you go to school, the bell rings again at 9 o'clock. You have your classes for 45 minutes and then you have a break. Then you have other classes. You come back home by 2 o'clock. So everywhere throughout the day, and it's not only the students, it is be a cook, a farmer, a carpenter, a mechanic, a shopkeeper, doctor, artist, tailor. Everyone needs mathematics in daily life. Yes, math is important for daily tasks, managing time, budgeting reports. It is the basic of all other subjects. Next, math is a tool in our hands to make life smoother. Let's enjoy the subject. Why is math so hard? Yes, it takes time and energy. Many people don't experience sufficient time to get math lessons and they fall behind as the teacher moves on. This is what happens. And many move on to study more complex concepts with a shaky foundation. The foundation becomes very weak, and you often end up with weak structure that is doomed to collapse at some point. This is what happens, when the concepts and the primary section is very, very important. Even the middle school, in fact, till 6th standard, all the concepts are introduced. Now, today, this session is more how to introduce the concepts, how to make it interesting, so that the children can understand the concept and apply it later in their sums when they do it. As I said, maths next. Maths is used everywhere, whether it is a heartbeat, whether when we eat food, whether when we are drinking coffee in a cup, when there is a sale, in cricket. Where is it that we do not have maths? Maths is everywhere. Yes, without maths, we cannot. Next, please. Now this activity, add the digits of your first name. Everybody can do it in their write the digits. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4. Can you just put it on the chat? Add the digits of your first name and give me the sum. You can start your classes like this. Most of the tips which I'm going to give you are going to help you how to teach maths in the primary section, the middle school, so that to make it more interesting. Can you add the digits of your first name and put it on the chat? Whatever your A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, and so on. E is 5, F is 6. So add the digits of your first name. Can anybody put it up on the chat? The digits of your first name. Whatever your name may be, add the digits. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, E is 5, F is 6, and so on. Yes, 18, yes, some are given their names. 14, yes, some are giving that. Very good. Excellent. A is 1, yes. 38, yes. Tarakant, 38. M 13, N Nita 14. Very good. So this is how you can start by telling them, making maths interesting, by telling them to write the digits of, adding the digits of their first name. Now, how do you make? Are your students afraid of maths when you teach? Next slide. What can you do as a math teacher? Do majority of your students enjoy math learning? Are your students conceptually weak in maths? Try to introspect when you take your maths classes. Are majority of the students afraid, or are they enjoying? Do most of their children score poor marks in maths? So what are the teachers supposed to do? The key to unlocking your students' love for math is building their confidence. Very important to build their confidence and helping them to see that they can be successful. See, that is very important. We have to keep motivating them. What we do, I've often seen, if a child does not do well, we say, oh, you have not been able to add 3 plus 3. What a stupid child you are. You can't even do that. Please, my dear teachers, let us motivate. Let us not create that fear in them. Teach your students to have a growth mindset. They can get better at it. Teach them the power of yet. They will eventually be successful. Very important. Joyful activities can be used. Exploring, discovering, constructing, designing, setting strategy, and solving problems that are wrapped in mathematics games, puzzles, hands-on activities. These are very, very important. What you can do as a math teacher. Next. Teach your students to have a growth mindset. How they are going to grow mindset. They can get better at it. Motivate them, don't dissuade them. Don't tell them that, okay, usually what happens, the parents, when they see the report card, they see all the marks, other subject the child has done well. But if a child has not done well in maths, immediately you say that you've hardly got only 45 in maths, and though the child might have got 80s and 90s in other subjects. How we demotivate the child. It happens in the classes also. The teacher is teaching, not realizing that the child has not understood the concept. So please have a growth mindset. Try guided maths in classroom. Teach at individual level. Divide them into groups. Get your students moving, thinking, collaborating. Unlock their mysteries. Have fun with games, with the playing cards, which is such a nice teaching aid. Math board games, make a math alphabet book, build character through competition, get children excited about mathematics. Who complete first can be crowned mathematician of the day. These are the little things which you can do. Encourage learners with games. Divide them into teams. Ask them to create problem sums. When you're doing problem sums, what we do, we give straight from the book. Ask them to create the problem sums. Give them a situation and they create a sum and they solve. Okay? And build character through competition. Encourage learners with games. Next. Turn an egg carton into a problem generator. Next slide, please. Yes, you can use these things as teaching aid which the students themselves can make. You can make math fact practice wheel, which will help. Next, draw a Waldorf math fact flowers. See how the children can make in the primary classes. That is very, very important. We have the math. Most of the schools have the math lab. They go to the math lab to do the activities. Why not the children? Why can't the children make a math kit for themselves? How will they make the math kit? Supposing there are shapes, they will collect different sizes of empty boxes. They can make with the help of old calendars, table calendars, the decimals, the fractions cutouts. Why not have their own kit, their own bag, and all the teaching aids? Like you have those ice cream sticks, the straws, which they can use, little counters, with each child can have. And they can use it as a math kit whenever they have any math concept being introduced. They can use those flashcards. They can use those kits which they have, and they can do little activities, as I will show you as I proceed further. Next, who is a good mathematician? A good mathematician is one make mistakes. Yes, he is the one who makes mistakes, change their minds and ideas, talks about mathematics, explain their thinking, work together, solve problems, check their work, show their work. That is a good mathematician who looks out for challenges, gives them an opportunity to do the sums on their own, to face the challenge, even if a sum may be wrong. So what? And encourages them. Joyful mathematics, next, can be through role play, origami, math fair. You can have a math fair. You can have a math corner, math assembly where they only talk about numbers. You can have a math newsletter, tangrams, dance, music, everywhere. In music, we use mathematics. In dance, we use mathematics. How we can relate mathematics with all the subjects. Next. Now look at this and tell me, you can type it on the chat. What will be the answer to the first one? It's a 2 pentagons. 2 pentagons multiplied is equal to 16. Then 1 pentagon plus 1 square is equal to 9. Then 1 pentagon into 1 circle is equal to 60. And 1 circle smiley plus a pentagon is equal to 32. Now looking at these, can you tell me what will be the answer for the first one? 2 pentagons into what two numbers will give you 16? So that you get the last answer as 32. 2 pentagons, when you multiply, you get 16. Which two numbers will give you 16? Then the next pentagon plus that square will give you 9. Then what number will come in that square? What number will come in the smiley? Yes, the first one is 8 into 2. 8 into 2 will give you 16. The next is 2 plus 7 will give you 9. And then 2 into 30 will give you 60. And 30 plus 2 will give you 32. Now, this is where the children have to think which number will fit in. My dear friends, next slide. When you are introducing the basic concepts of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, equal, make them familiar with the vocabulary. So very important. What do we use in addition? Add, more, plus, make, sum, total, altogether. What do we use in subtraction? Subtract, minus, take away, less, difference between. Because this is what happens in the higher classes is They are not very familiar with the vocabulary. And when they are not very familiar with the vocabulary, they are not able to solve the sums. They are not able to understand the problem which is asked. In multiplication, like you have, facts, times, into, product, multiplier, multiplicand, and repeated addition. In division, you have divide, you have quotient, you have sharing, equally, equal groups of. This is very important to give them. Equals, makes, total, same. So when you are introducing any of these concepts, it is very, very important to introduce the vocabulary first. Next, talking about me. So when you, to make math more interesting, you can start, now the new session, you'll be starting the new session. So you can start with me, like my birth month, number of people in my family, my house. You can make a mind map like that, me. Number of people in my family, my house number, number of letters in my name, my birth date, my age, my shoe size, my phone number, my Aadhaar card number, which everybody should know, my roll number. So this way you can start your classes by introducing yourself as me, by telling the children. We all love to talk about ourselves. We give them composition. The first composition we give them in English is myself. Why not start in mathematics? Yes, me, with all the numbers around. They can also make this. Next, please. Write 5 number facts about yourself. Draw 5 pictures to illustrate them. Use 5 colors to decorate the page. So depending on your class, if it is class 4, tell them 4 number facts. If it is class 3, tell them 3 number facts. See how beautifully, like, they can write math about me. It's not that we cannot do. I have 3 rupees in my pocket. I have a cat. My house number is such and so. I am 5 feet 6 inches tall, or whatever is my thing. My roll number is this. My birthday is on such and such date. See how nicely they can write about myself in my fact book about me. Next. Now, the most important thing is the place value when we start the numbers. When we start teaching mathematics, very important to teach the place value. And place value is the most difficult concept, my dear friends. We have to make it interesting. We have to tell them in a form of a story. Now, for example, what you can do is, next slide. This is a place value. How? Now, I will just do as if I am teaching the children. Now you are introducing a place value. My dear children, we have a home and there are these 3 rooms over there. Please known as the place value house. The brother hundreds, the sister tens, and the baby ones. So place value has rooms and says that they can have only 1 digit in 1 room. Now 0 to 9. Now look at number 50. Now both the numbers are, 50 is a 2-digit number. Can we put 2 numbers in 1 house? No, we cannot. Next. So his 0 is pushed to the ones. So we have now 5 tens and 0 ones. To get 50, what do we need? We need 5 tens and 0 ones. So each room is made up of 10 ones. Now if we put 5 in the hundreds place. Next slide. Now if we put 5 in the hundreds place. Now what happens? We put 0 in the tens place. We now have 500. So how many hundreds are there in 500? There are these 5. See, 5, 0, 0. The 0 first is in the ones place, 0 in the tens place, and 5 is in the hundreds place. So each digit is in ones place. Now if we compare 500 with 50, we see that 500 is more than 50. How many digits? 3 digits. It's very important to pay attention in which room the number is, because this changes the value of the number. So it's very important to tell them that in each house there is only 1 digit. So you have this 500. 0 in the ones place, 0 in the tens place, and 5 in the hundreds place. Next, please. See, what is the relationship between them? In the thousands place, 100 into 10, hundreds place is 10 into 10, tens place is 110, and ones is 0. That is 1 into 0, that is the ones place. Now for class 1, introduce, next slide, introduce it in the form of a story. Always tell them that there is a house, there's a brother 100, there's a family staying in that house, sister 10s, baby ones, and how each one is in the one house. Count the number of days after your birthday. For classes 2 and 3, show them this. I know what is a digit. Most of them in the higher classes, when they ask them what is a digit, they don't understand what is a digit. So for example, it is 1470, 1470. What is the digit? The digit is 0 in the ones place. What is the place? The place is 0. What is the place value? 0 ones. Same way, when 7, the digit is 7. 7 into 10. So the place is what? 70. What is the place value? 7 tens. 4 into 100. 400 is the place. What is it? What is the place value? 400. So this way, by explaining to them step by step, the concept will become much clearer. Next, you can also tell them to make a place value snake like this. Just take a paper, write 400 plus 500 plus 20 plus 1, or whichever number, 4000 plus 500 plus 20 plus 1. Just fold the paper, and this way you can teach them how many thousands, how many hundreds, what is the place value, expansion form, contraction form. Next, you can also make a place value spider. You can make this teaching aid where they can slide the numbers and learn about the place value. These are the little teaching kit aids which the children can make themselves, and you can do it in class by asking them, okay, now make a number 3246. Then you can ask them, what is the place value of 3? What is the place value of 4? Where is the thousands? How many hundreds? So this way you can help the child to understand, because a child will have the kit with himself. Next, you can also do with the value mat with 10 frames. They can have these small cubes and they can do it. Next, but the most important, it is very convenient teaching aid, are the cards. You can actually do this activity in the class. Tell the children to take out 3 cards or 4 cards depending on which place value you're teaching. Supposing the child, you take out 3, 4 and 5. Then ask them that 5 is in the ones place, 4 is in the tens place, 3 is in the hundreds place. How will you read that sum? How will you expand that sum? What is the place value of 3? What is the place value? This way they can enjoy this game. You can also have musical chairs. Each one takes one number. 3 children you can call out, take the numbers, have 3 chairs. They go around the chairs. On the chairs, you write HTO. That means 100, tens, ones. When the music stops, they sit on that chair and tell them who is 100, who is 10, how many ones, how many hundreds, what is the place value of that particular number. And so you see how clear the concepts become for the children, because you have to make maths joyful. Next, now very important in mental sums. Now what mostly teachers do, mental sums, homework, come on, do it. No, my dear friends, mental sums should be done in class. Very important. How many tens in 364? What is the place? You have to just say it and children will answer that. How many hundreds in 186? What is 42 tens? Because you should be able to write for 420. How many tens in 600? 60 tens. 9 tens minus 4 tens. They have to be on their toes. They have to use their brains to think. Largest 3-digit number. What is 1 less than the target? 1 more than the largest 3-digit number. So as you are doing it, please, my dear friends, as you go to class, whether you're taking an online or an offline class, first thing in the class when you do is do mental sums. Just ask at random, what is the place value of 6? The number is 325. How many hundreds? How many tens? What is 1 less than the 3-digit, largest 3-digit number? And you see how good they are, how much they are going to enjoy. It'll be like a quiz, and that will also sharpen their brain. It helps them to be more alert. Next, you must tell them the story of 0, which is so very important. It's important placeholder digit in a number system. I'll tell you the story. One day, a great mathematician called all the numbers for a meeting. All the numbers came for the meeting except 0. The mathematician asked, where is 0? No one knew. He called all the numbers to find 0. After a long time, they found 0. Hiding behind, the mathematician asked, why didn't you come for the party meeting? He started crying. I did not come because I have no value, no respect, and no one wants to be with me. All the numbers have value. The mathematician thought for a while. Don't cry. You will also have value. Number 3, please come and stand on the right side of 0. So it became 30. Now it is 30. So when 0 is after the digit, its value increase. 0 separates the negative number from the positive. And that's how the value of 0 increases when the number comes to the right of it. Then 0 realize its value. So it's very important, how you introduce 0, how to make the classes, because these are the little things which should be used in the class. Next, we go to addition. That is the first thing we do after the place value. We tell them the importance of 0, add. And as I told you, when you are introducing any concept, first make them familiar with the vocabulary. And the vocabulary like add, ascending, more, sum, total, altogether, increase, in, all. Give them this because, they should be familiar that, okay, these are the things which we have to add. When we add, these are the words, vocabulary which is used. So make a mind map and give them this vocabulary. Next, did you know fun with addition? You can actually do this activity with your children. The vertically opposite numbers in a calendar add up the same. Now see this calendar. 1 plus 9 vertically opposite is 10. 8 plus 2 is 10. 2 plus 10 vertically opposite is 12. 9 plus 3 is 12. 3 plus 11 is 14. 10 plus 4 is 14. Next is 7 plus 13 is 20. 6 plus 14 is 20. So you can ask the children that bring this one table calendar, and who finishes the addition first. The smart children will do only add the one side, and they know that the vertically opposite of the other pair is going to be same. This is very interesting, which in a calendar, which you can see that how addition, how it is like, see, 1 plus 9 is 10, 8 plus 2 is also 10 vertically. Then, 2 plus 10 is 12, 9 plus 3 is also 12. So this is something which you can do it with the children. Give them and ask them that today I'm going to take an addition test or I'm going to revise, and who finishes first by writing the answers. So this activity you can do it in class. Next, children can put together objects like straws, marbles to see the different ways to make 10, starting with the first 5 numbers. This will give the addition fact. Very important to give the number facts of addition facts of 10. In fact, that is the base. And that helps them in Vedic maths later on. And this should be reinforced in different ways to different interactive methods, games, till the addition facts of 10 become very evident to the children. Till addition facts of 10, that okay, 7 plus 3 is 10, 8 plus 2 is 10, 6 plus 4 is 10, 4 plus 6 is 10. They should know it so that it becomes very easy, and even rounding off to 10, they should be able to do it, which will help the children to add very fast and the basic facts, because once you know the basic facts of 10 and 20, you see how quick they are in addition. Because see, when you go later on for all these entrance tests, it is all how fast you can do. So these are the tricks which should be taught in the lower classes. It is so very important. Next, symbols should be introduced at the end of the ELPS experience. Let them do it, like counting and touching the balls or any other teaching aid. Language means vocabulary, pictorial representation, and then give them the numbers. So symbols should be introduced last. Very important. Let them experience with the object. Let them use the language. What are they doing it with? Let them have a pictorial representation, and then the plus cannot be used for groups. Next, then we come to, after addition, we teach subtraction. Again, tell them the vocabulary: decrease, difference, less, take away, minus, descending, subtract. Sometimes when we tell them take away 9 from the sum of 10 and 10, they are not able to say, because they are not familiar with the vocabulary. And that is very, very important, to be familiar with the vocabulary. Now, next, make subtraction fun. When you are teaching them subtraction from 0, you have to write the place value, HT, or 100 times 1. Now, supposing it is 230 minus 165. Make it interesting, like a story, that, okay, they were having a party. Number 5 needed something. So, the 0 could not give. So, 0 went to the 10's house. Knock, knock, knock. Can I borrow 1 from you? So, 10 says, sure. So, 3 gives away 1 to 1s, and it becomes 2, naturally 1 less. Now it becomes 10. 10 feels very great. I have become a bigger number now, and 5 can be taken away from this. Same way, 6 cannot be subtracted from 12. So he goes knock knock to the other house, 100's house. 100 house says, okay, I will give you 1, and he gives to them. So the children learn the sharing, the values also. It's not just teaching about mathematics, it's about values. And this is how the number feels great. It becomes 12 and you subtract. So always try to tell them in the form of a story. Next. Now when you're doing problem sums, very important. Now supposing the problem is, in Jurong Park, there are 197 parrots and 256 peacocks. How many birds are there in all? And what do most of the, in all, let us add. Come on, let's do number of parrots, number of peacocks, therefore in all. But sometimes in all also comes in subtraction when how many are left in all, and the child gets confused. So when you have giving them problem sums, ask them what is given in the sum. Parrots, peacocks. Okay. Then what is asked for? Birds in all. What will be the operation when they are saying how many birds in all? It is plus. What will be the result? Then you show add and you show birds. Always stress on units, which are very, very, very important, because usually, most of the marks are deducted in ICSE or CBSE when they do not write the units. So you have to stress right from the lower classes. Next. Then after subtraction, we come to multiplication. Again, here also, next slide. Here also you have to introduce the vocabulary, product, sets, times, multiplier, multiplication, repeated addition, and into. But my dear friends, we teach them children 2 1 the 2, 2 to the 4, 2 3 the 6. That's wrong. It's 1 times 2 is 2, 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8. 2 comes 4 times, not 2 4s. Yes, 2 4s are 8 is okay, both ways. But how many times? This is where they go wrong when they do the sums in the higher classes. How you can teach activity with straws. Each child can have the straws with them. Arrange 3 straws horizontally. Put 1 straw vertically. There are 6 points of intersection. So next slide. So arrange 3 straws horizontally. Then put 1 straw vertically. There are 6 points of intersection. So 2 times 3. It is 2 times 3, which has come as 6. One more example. Can use paper strip with the children. Next slide. Children can cut these paper strips like this. Next slide. Can use paper strips. Take 3 strips. 100, 10s and 1s. For example, the number is 254 multiplied by 3. Arrange the strips like this vertically. Red, yellow, blue. Now take 3 white strips and put it across. Next slide. Next slide. And you put it across. When you put it across, you see in the hundreds place. Now 3 white strips and put it across. Count the point of intersection. There are 6 points of intersection in hundreds. There are 15 points of intersection in the tens place and 12 in the ones place. So 6 into 100 is 600. 15 into 10 is 150. 12 into 1 is 12. So the total is 760. You see, they're understanding the concepts when they are multiplying 3 digits by 1 digit. Otherwise, we just tell them, come on, do the sum, multiply, and you don't know your tables and do. But let them understand the concept, which is so very important, and they will enjoy it. Imagine each child having, they can cut these strips. You can give them homework. over the weekend, we are going to start this multiplication. Be ready with the stick. Take out old notebooks, cut out the papers, color it and bring it. And you see how beautifully they can do it. In fact, holiday homework for the summer holidays, you can tell them to make these teaching aids for mathematics. So when they come back, they have their own math kit. Next, then we come to division. After multiplication, we come to division. Again, remainder, dividend, share, quotient, divisor. We just tell them to do it, but make them familiar. You can give, next slide. Question, how like a house. The queen is in the attic. See Q, quotient. The divisor is under the divisors. You see, you divide in the den, dividend. Other ways to show division. See how you can show division to make it interesting. Next slide. When you are showing division, you show them operation. What is the operation? Divide. How do you write? How do you say? Often we tell them, okay, how many times is it going? 3 times. It does not go 0. No. How many 3s in 1? There's 0. So multiply that 0, 3 multiplied by 0. So the first step is divide. The second step is multiply. Then you subtract. Then you bring it down. So show them step by step. Instead of just straight away showing the sum that, okay, you divide, it does not go, put a 0. No. So the first D, M, S, M, B. That is very important. Give them these acronyms D, M, S, B. Next slide. What is D, M, S, B, R? D is for dad. M is for mom, that is multiply. S is for subtract, that is sister. B is bring down, brother. R is rover, remainder or repeat. So dad, mom, sister, brother, rover. So if you give them this way of doing it, they will find it very, very interesting and they'll be able to do it. Next. So next slide. So division daddy, estimate and divide. Multiplication mummy, multiply by the divisor. Subtraction sister, subtract. Bring down brother, bring down the next digit. Remainder or repeat? Yes, remainder, no repeat. If there is yes, there is a remainder, no repeat. So you have the division family. So next slide. The long division family. Memory aid for long division. Daddy, multiplication mummy, subtraction sister, bring brother down, and the remainder is Rover, the dog. So they have the division. This way they will remember it much, much better. Then we come to the metric measures. That's a very important chapter. Next slide. When we teach them metric measures, it's very important again to give them. First, let them estimate what is heavier, lighter, full, empty, distance, more, less, cubit, span. These are the activities which they can do. With the cubit, they can measure the desk. They can find out. Let them estimate your height, the teacher's height, teacher's weight. Don't tell them the actual weight. Let them estimate the teacher's weight and then let them have a big laugh when the teacher is overweight or underweight. This way they will learn to estimate. Very important. Next slide. Activity to be done with. Always do it with non-standard measures to help them estimate. Now what happened? So many times happen with adults. When somebody asks, how many meters the cloth will you need to make those curtains? We are not able to do it because we have never learned to estimate. How will we learn? We have no idea. Next slide. Now, draw an apple. You can give them this activity. Draw an apple in any direction, 1 finger width. So with 1 finger width, they will draw. An orange with 4 finger width. A mango with 1 hand span. They will take 1 hand span and draw the mango. See how interesting it will become for the children to do it. Next. So things heavier than an apple, they should be able to draw. Things lighter than an apple, things about the same weight as an apple. Very important, for them to estimate, to know exactly what should be the thing, whether it will be heavier than an apple, whether it will be lighter than an apple, or whether about the same weight as an apple. Next slide. Now you have to introduce the conversion. So you should give them the table like this. So, usually what they do, they mark the millimeter, centimeter, decimeter, meter, hectometer, kilo. This is what they do it. But they don't understand the concept. So when you give them a table like this, they will understand where is meter, liters, gram all together and what happens when you multiply or when you have to convert. Now, for example, next slide. Convert. Convert 5,743 meters to kilometers and meters. Very difficult for the children. They don't understand. First, you have to draw the table for length, like I showed. Write 3 last digit in the meters column because it is 5,743 meters. Write backwards until you have placed the given number in the correct order of its digit. Since we have to express in kilometers, we see that we have 5 kilometers and the rest of the digits are in meters. I'll just show you. Just next slide. See how you write 3. Next slide, please. 3 in the meter. That was the last digit. Then you start writing the number backwards. 4, 7, 5. 5 comes in the kilometers. So what is it? 5 kilometers, 743 meters. So this way, let them draw a table for each and every sum right up till class 6. Till 6th standard, because what happens, when they come to class 6, teachers assume they've already learned so much, now that they should. Suddenly the standard goes very high in class 6 and they are not able to do the sums. Next slide. The same way, convert. Next slide. 4,010. So you write 0, the last digit in the 10 meters column, and then write backwards. Then the given and centimeters column, write backwards. And since we have to express in meters, we see that we have 40 meters and the rest of the digits are expressed in centimeters. So this is the way you can do this teaching of conversion of metric measures. Next slide. Form a word using the given letters and find the category in which it belongs. Can you tell me what is this word? It is used for measuring length. L-R-E-R-U. What is this word? Can you put it on the chat? Used for measuring length, used for measuring weight, used for calculating money, used for reading time. What is this word? What is this word? L-R-E-R-U. Let them decode it. It is a ruler. Yes, it is a ruler. So this is how you can have a game of decoding. Next slide. Then you can give them this table where the distance is there and ask various, confusing questions. The man walked same distance on Monday and Tuesday, or he walked the same distance on Wednesday and Tuesday, or he walked the same distance on Monday and Thursday, or he walked the same distance on Wednesday and Sunday. This way they will go through the data given. This is data collection, and they will be able to read this and then make a graph from this. So this will help them to actually think. Next slide. Same way, next questions can be asked in this. Next slide, please. Next slide. Time. Very important. This you can do it various ways by telling them the vocabulary: decade, century, score, watch, clock, day, night, morning, noon, earlier, later, then, yesterday, today, tomorrow. So many children don't know what is a weekend. They get confused between yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Afternoon, evening, midnight. This is all linked with time. Next slide. You can actually tell them the story of Cinderella, themed, cut and stick time sequencing. What time she got ready, what time fairy godmother came, what time the chariot came, what time the clock struck, how did she come back. So they can do it with time. Next, exercises with hands. Next slide. Make your own identity card, name, address. Then again it is time here, date of birth, day, month, year, age, Aadhaar number. So this will help them to have this activity on time. Next, same way you can give them the calendar and ask them how many Saturdays, how many weeks, how many weekends. If you don't attend classes for a week, how many days of school will you attend? If every Saturday and Sunday are holidays, how many weekends are there in this month? So this way they will think and they will answer. Next slide. Then as we go to the higher classes, there is the time 9, time of arrival at Terminal A. Look at the flight schedules and answer the questions. So this way they can ask them to think the time when they learn the hour clock and the minutes clock. It will allow them to think and actually analyze what is given instead of just giving straight away, convert the time from hours and minutes or minutes to hours. So this way they'll do it. Next slide. Complete the sentence. Sharpen your brains. Purple plus orange. Now this is the figure which is given when you are teaching them perimeter or area. Purple plus orange. What will purple plus orange? Will give you red, the round line. What will black minus blue give you? Green. And what is blue plus green give you? Black. So this way you can teach them the sides, the perimeter when you're teaching them, how to find the perimeter of the various shapes. Next. Then we come to fractions, which is very, very important. Again, you have to give them the vocabulary: half, third, whole, equal, and equivalent, numerator, denominator, which is so very important. Next, fractions may be written in words or figures. There must always be a hyphen. The denominator is expressed as ordinal number. The denominator is always plural. They can do lots of activities with things which they have. They can make small paper balls. Next, and first picture, ask them what is whole, divide them into half. How many halves are there in one whole? They can never say. How many one-thirds are there in one whole? How many the halves are there in one whole? So you know how many one-thirds are required. So this way, if you ask them the questions, it will allow them to think. It will help them to analyze. Next slide. Same way, they can cut papers and make a fan like this of the fractions. Next, then you can give your name. Like my name is Sunita. So my name has 6 equal parts. Each letter of my name represents the unit fraction, that is 1/6. The fraction of the vowels in my name. How many vowels do I have? I have 3 vowels. Fraction of the consonants in my name. See how you're linking it with English. And they will love it. You know, give them to write their names and tell them when you introduce fraction, instead of doing the typical fraction, you know, you take the paper, you can actually do this by writing their names. Next slide. This way they can make various teaching aids for themselves, and they can have a teaching kit. Next you can place fraction bingo. Now what is this? You can tell them to write these fractions which are in reduced form and bring it to school and tell them I am going to take a test or I am going to revise. So you call out the fraction, supposing 10 by 100. Now 10 by 100 is 1/10. So they will then circle 1/10. Same way, if it is 10 by 25, it is 2/5. So you will call out the fraction, and the reduced fraction, they will circle it or put a cross. This way you can revise fraction. You can play this fraction bingo. Like we all love to play housey. Children also love to play housey. So you can play this game of bingo. Next slide. Same way, when you introduce fractions, you can introduce this bingo in the form of this shapes, figures. When they learn how many 1/3 or 1/6 or 2/3, how it is shaded part they learn. Instead of just giving them the test like that, you can actually play bingo and take a test. Next slide. Understanding factors and HCF, which is again factors, multiples, product. Very, very important. Any number, I'll just skip. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Now, how do you do the activity of find factors? We can take counters. Take 8 counters. 8 counters can be represented in 2 rows of 4 counters. So 2 4s are 8. Next slide. It can also be represented 4 rows of 2 counters. So 4 into 2 is 8. So the factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. Next slide. This also they can draw on the piece of paper with the squares. How these 24 squares can be shown horizontally. Then 2 rows of 12 each. Then 3 rows of 3 into 8 and 4 into 6, 24. So these are the factors 1, 2, 3, 4, 24, 12, 8, 6. So this gives them a pictorial representation of the factors. How to, otherwise we usually tell them, okay, come on, divide, draw the factor tree, you know, because see, that is okay, we have to do it. But when you're introducing the concept, teach them through this activity method and see how beautifully they are going to learn. Next slide. Same way for 12 counters, we must remember that time 12 counters must be equally divided rows and columns. You can divide it in 1 column, in 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows of 4. Next slide. 4 rows, 4 rows of 3 counters, 6 rows of 2 counters. So the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. So how the concepts become much clearer. Next. So look for these hints in the problem sums. If you're asked to find the largest number, you should be looking for HCF. If you're asked to find the smallest number, you'll be looking for LCM. If the number you've asked to find divides other numbers, then it probably be a factor. If the number you're looking for is divided by other numbers, probably be a multiple. So this way you can give them the hints. Next, for a dinner party, now this is for you. Meena is planning individual servings of starters. She has 9 carrot sticks and 18 celery sticks. If she wants each serving to be identical with no food left over, what is the greatest number of servings she can create? What will be the answer? What will be the greatest number of servings she can create? It will be, she has 9 carrot sticks and 18 celery sticks. If she wants each serving to be identical, these are all application. So the answer will be 9. So the HCF is 9, the highest common factor. So these are just application. Yes, 9. This is how it can help the child to apply. Next slide. Then by giving them mental sums, mental agility, 11th multiple of 9, difference between the 6th multiple of 9 and the 9th multiple of 10. You know, see how a child will think. What is the difference between 300 and the HCF of 21, 14 and 35? What is the smallest number which should be added to 13th multiple of 9? Find the sum of HCF and LCF with simple small numbers and see how it is going to help the child. Next slide. Squaring. Calculate squares of any numbers. This is just a simple one which they can understand and do it well. 65 square. You just add 1 to 6. Then you multiply 6 into 7. 42 and 5 into 5 is 25. So 4,225. Same way, 75. Add 1 to 7. It becomes 8. 7 8s. Then multiply 7 into 8, 56, and just double 5, so it becomes 25. Next slide. Shapes and angles. Look around for shapes. With the help of the clock, they can learn the angles. See, when the time is 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, what is the angle? Less than 90, more than 90. But each child can, you know, every school makes clock faces. All children make. Why not learn the angle? So they have their own kit with them to learn the angles. Next slide. Activity with hands on angles, activity with straws, write your name in shapes. Next, you can also use math tricks. Ask them common between two friends, look for common factors, linking it with the values, mental sum. You know, you can give each child a number. You the particular number sits down. Next slide. Next, when you do money, next slide. Next, when you're doing money, always start with the story of money, how there was barter system. Next slide. Barter system, then salt came, then how stones was used, how shells were used, irregular metals were used, paper money were used, credit cards, and how now we have all the Paytm and this plastic money. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Now activity, next slide. Activity with money. You can actually do a lot of activity, making bills, help children what is earning, what is saving, what is between needs and wants, value of saving versus spending, money of various denomination, what is online payment. Ask them, tell them to bring their old credit cards, tell them how it is done, planning the budget. So writing of creative math problems, story about a trip to the mall, all these will help the children to do it. Next slide, we come to the decimal fractions. Now what happens in decimal? We have to tell them the vocabulary. No, usually we teach multiply by 10, the decimal point shifts to the right. Divide by 10, the decimal point shifts to the left. No, what actually happens is the value of the number changes. When you multiply, the value increases. When you divide, the value decreases. Divide becomes less, you share, so it becomes less. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. So this is how we teach them the fractional part and the integral part by showing them each and every step how a fraction becomes a decimal. Next point. Remember, the decimal point is always after the integral part, and when a number is divided by 10 or multiples of 10, it decreases its value. Not because you multiply the decimal shift. You know, like dancing decimals. It confuses the child when you tell them multiply by 10, decimal shifts to the right. No, that's not the way to teach. Next slide. Same way, you can do mental sums with them by asking them, taking away 4.1 from 10 and the others, telling them the story of the decimals, how decimal and helps to increase the value or decrease the value of the number. Next slide. Next slide, please. So there's a decimal where the 0 said, I can increase the strength of the number by 10 if I suffix them. And let us take the number 35. If we suffix a 0, it makes it 350. So 350 is 10 times 35. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. And there's less time. Next slide. Line them up. Next slide. Line them up. Very important that that you have to line the numbers when you're writing the decimals. Very important to write the place value even if they have reached class 7. Next slide. When you're teaching them integers, next slide. Very important in the integers, make a grid in the classroom. Students can follow instruction 5 steps backward, 5 steps forward. They can also do the activity with the counters. Next slide. They can do the activities with the counters, which will help them, the positive, the white ones, the negative, the black ones, and they'll keep the counters in such a way that they can compare the positive with the negative. Next slide. Take the example of enemy and friend. Friend into friend is friend. Friend into enemy is enemy. Enemy into friend is enemy. Enemy into enemy is friend. Next, you can also use math art, link it with arts. The last but not the least, next, how you can teach sine and cos with the help of the palm. How the thumb is 90, the pointer 60 degrees, then the middle finger is 45, the ring finger is 30, and the 0. Next slide. You can actually, how you can apply this, they calculate the sine or the cos. But next slide, what you have to do when you have to find the sine, number of fingers below the angle finger divided by 2. Next slide. Let's try this for 0 degrees. There are no fingers below this angle. See, there are no fingers below 0 degrees. So root 0 by 2 is equal to 0. Next slide. Same way, we can do this. Number of fingers below the angle finger. Number of fingers, see 2, 45 degrees, 45. Well, there are only 2 fingers below the angle. So root 2 by 2 is half. Next slide. So this way we can see how below the fingers the numbers are. According 60 degrees, it is root 3 by 2. There are 3 fingers. So it becomes root 3 by 2. So this way, but when we, next slide, to calculate cos of one of these numbers or 5 angles, what we do is number of fingers above the angle finger. For sine, it is number of fingers below the angle fingers, but here it is above. So the same way, next slide, cos 45 is root 2 by 2. Next slide, please. We come to the next slide. Mathematics of life. Next slide. Next slide. Life plus love is happy. Life minus love is sad. 2 life is equal to happy plus sad. Happy. Life is happy plus sad divided by 2. Therefore, life is half happy and half sad. Next slide. Mathematics of life. Next slide. Add the opportunities, subtract the errors, multiply the victories, divide the obstacles, integrate your caliber, differentiate your weakness, inverse the destiny, simplify the struggles to solve your life. That is mathematics. Next, last slide. The mathematics of life is not the multiplication of wealth, but the division of tasks, the subtraction of greed, and the addition of true love and humility. Next slide. Symbols, recipe of life, add positivity and generate happiness. Subtract, take away negativity, multiply happiness, love, compassion, divide, share your happiness, equal to treat all children equal. Next slide. Any doubts? Do you have any doubts or you have anything to ask? Yes. So this way, remember, my dear friends, mathematics of life is not the multiplication of wealth, but the division of tasks, the subtraction of greed, and the addition of true love and humility. That is life. So let us all spread life of compassion. Thank you very much. Thank you and have a lovely day. That's all right. We cannot do it further. So we'll end with this. Remember to take, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you and